By the way, the definition of the word retard is to hinder or to hold someone back. I think your life is about to become retarded.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back!
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
That's right, it's Monday. It's a good one tonight too, because it is supremely cozy over here with the it's been raining all day. It's been raining all day, and I'm all right with that. I'm okay with the rain. I'm okay with dark, rainy, kind of blustery days. I get a lot done, and here I am. I actually saved my coffee for tonight. It's in a Contigo, so it's this will stay hot for hours or cold for hours. I don't get a free toaster if you go out and buy a Contigo or anything like that. Just saying. I said I was going to save it for tonight, so I got my keto brains in there and all that. I'll be sipping on my coffee, and it is raining cats and dogs out on this March 16th. Tomorrow's St. Patty's, and we're gonna have a great guest tomorrow, but you'll meet her when the time comes. And for tonight, we've got some great topics as well. It's good seeing many of you since last week, since last Thursday, many of you. But we put the first half of the Playhouse up on Friday night at 7 o'clock, and that was great. That was great because I know that no matter how much I say things during the show, it's hit or miss as far as, you know, which patch of the audience gets it. And so every time I decided to just started putting the first half up there, and the people are like, wow, what's this show? I said, it's the Playhouse. Come and hang out. And people had a great time once again jumped on over to the Playhouse YouTube, and that was a good time. We had our buddies in, and we talked about a whole bunch of stuff, including Billy Corgan's statements about the CIA having a personal hand in the way that rock was deprioritized in the mainstream, and I think it gave us some good things to talk about, and then of course a whole bunch of other nonsense, which it wouldn't be a show without nonsense. So, and tonight, ladies and gents, we got a whole week out ahead of us. Please, if you're watching right now, hit like and leave a comment in the chat room, and if you're watching it after the fact, leave a comment in the comment section with anything you're seeing. The like is so important. The hype is so important. Wherever you're watching, just like it and comment. The other thing too, and I've been getting these comments every once in a while and some emails about this, and this should not be happening, especially if you're watching on YouTube. I have disabled for months now mid-roll ads. That means that on demand, if you don't have YouTube Premium, aside from the end cap videos in the beginning and the end or something like that, you should not be interrupted by mid-roll ads throughout the video, throughout the episode. You should not be. That has been disabled for months. And when I contacted YouTube about it, they said, well, you have to send us video of it happening. So if anybody can just capture the ads coming on, if some of you have said that it interrupts you every 6 minutes or so, no way in hell should that be happening. And I already checked my account settings. It is not set. Mid-roll is off because I can't put those in manually. And I think that just automatic placement of those ads are obscenely obnoxious. So somebody capture it on video for me so I can send it to YouTube, because for some reason they're like, can you send us video? Like you don't know that there's ads running on my. So help me out with that if you want to make a difference, because I disabled those months ago. All right. Oh, awesome. I forgot about this. This week I'm going to be giving away 2 prizes for our Super Chat raffles. The runner-up prize is going to be another 4 quarters, 4 silver quarters, and also you're going to get a copy of Jane Barlow's Medicinal Plant Field Guide, the hardcover, signed, of course. So 4 silver quarters, and the grand prize winner is going to be a single 1.5 ounces. An 1.5 ounces. My buddy Jarrett sent this over. He said, you got to give this one away. It's an 1.5 ounces. It's a nice heavy one, my friends. 1.5 ounces. Unfortunately, it has Queen Elizabeth's face on it, but it's all right. It's silver. You can take a little engraving tool, turn her into an alien or something like that. There's some very talented people out there who can do that kind of a thing. It's an 1.5 ounces. It feels very, very nice between the fingers. You know? And also a 20-year anniversary t-shirt. You pick the size. That was donated by Dwayne out there. So, yeah, that's it. That t-shirt that is being, distributed very exclusively right now, and bunch of silver. That's how we're starting the week off. So YouTube, Rumble, Pilled, and quite frankly, superchat.com. We need the support, and I'm going to keep digging things up to send out there. Thankfully, we got silver and gold flowing. Silver and gold. And what else are we going to do tonight? It's a little something up front, a few things. First of all, Styx Hexenhammer. I don't know what's been going on with him. It's been a long time since I really checked up on what he was doing or even still saw him anywhere. And apparently he's having a lot of issues. He put out a tweet today around 1 p.m. that he had a stroke. I don't even know if he's 40 yet. I had a stroke. I can write. I can kind of make videos, but my ability to read has been greatly diminished. One of my favorite things in life has been stolen from me. People will say this is attention seeking or something. I told you I was dying. I wasn't joking. I don't know what he's been dealing with, but I hope he's well. I hope he gets better. And that's awful. That's awful, man. So I saw that today, and I don't know if I don't know if he's reeling and dealing. Then I saw President Trump said that he's considering what he says taking Cuba. So let me see this. He's considering taking Cuba. This is what he said from the White House, I think today, 5 o'clock, March 16th. Here it is.
I think Cuba is in its own way, for tourism and everything else. It's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change. They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But I think Cuba's the end. All my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders. I think Cuba.
I'll tell you, out of all the liberation schemes, Cubans are the reason why that southern Florida has turned red. Out of all the liberations, listen, listen, debate amongst yourselves. But if I could just take a moment to crack a joke, or maybe a half a joke, if Cuba was taken and they were given electoral college votes and a senator or two senators, Republicans would probably have a very comfortable lead. Oh, man. So there you go. I mean, you want to talk about Greenland, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran. What a busy year. And it started what, on New Year's Day? January 3rd? So that was this morning. Or this afternoon. Talk amongst yourselves. You can call in with whatever you want. I definitely want to get some of your input tonight. Let's see here. But here's a big story I want to bring up with you guys and gals. And this is something that we had been talking about when it started. And that is Pokemon Go. I saw this over the weekend. This is the tweet that I had seen, and I noticed that then it was in several other places as well. Guy named Mark Gadala Maria said, "This is wild. 143 million people thought that they were catching Pokemon. They were actually building one of the largest real-world visual data sets in AI history. Niantic just disclosed that photos and AR, I guess that's augmented reality scans, collected through Pokemon Go have produced a data set of over 30 billion real-world images. The company is now using that data to power visual navigation AI for delivery robots." We're going to get to all, I'm digging up 10-year-old thoughts here. Players didn't just walk around with their phones. They scanned landmarks, storefronts, parks, sidewalks. Yeah, my driveway. And sidewalks from every angle at every time of day in lighting and weather conditions that staged photography could never capture. They documented the physical world at a scale that no mapping company with a fleet of vehicles could have replicated on the same timeline or budget. Niantic, if I'm saying that correctly, collected this systematically, data point by data point across 8 years, while users thought the only thing at stake was catching a rare Charizard. The most valuable AI training data sets in the world aren't being assembled in data centers. They are being built by people who have no idea that they're building them. Well, first of all, duh. That's just been out there. We were saying that, the more that you use the internet, the more you use social media, the more you publish, the more that you act. Whether it's your assumed identity or a real identity, the more that you put into a chat room, the more that you type, the messages, the draft messages that you never sent are feeding a gigantic machine, and it's learning from you and the way that you interact with people and cadence and rapport and all that other stuff, debating, it's learning. So we already know that. The Pokemon Go is something different. Now, the 3D maps, using your camera, pretty much stitching these things all together. It's almost like how 3D cameras used to be. You had all these cameras around a little ball, and then they all kind of capture things for certain areas, and then they stitch it all together, and it can become one continuous camera feed, essentially. And we were saying it when it came out that even though the story that really stole everything, that stole the show, is how zombie-like everybody was at that time. Everyone during that year or so was nuts. Now, I knew something was up. I don't know how you noticed it for the first time, but I knew something was up because I was at the park working out with Rob, and these kids who were as white as the driven snow, rail thin, white as the driven snow, looked like a skin of porcelain, okay, in the middle of the summer. Obviously not had been outside in a meaningful way in months. Probably not since last fall, okay? But suddenly they were braving the heat and seemingly just like walking through parks and being led around by their phones, okay? So they were outside, but they were kind of they're looking at outside through their screens, like, what the hell is this all about? Then we learned it was the Pokemon Go thing, and it was all the name that we were given was augmented reality, and it's right there in the name. It's augmented. You augment breasts. What are you doing? Okay, breast augmentation. How about we talk about that all night? I'd actually like to do a whole breast augmentation show soon. So strap in. It'll be very educational. It was augmented reality. You know, you look through something, you look through a camera at reality, and then, of course, the computer, the game, whatever the hell else is going to overlay something that's not there and augment it, obviously. So where could this possibly go? Especially the more people are encouraged to buy one pair of smart glasses over the other. You know, what unseen digital world would really ultimately overlay our reality? You know, what would be laid down on top of us? Well, for starters, a lot of people didn't know that their houses were being designated as Pokestops, that they were calling them, or gyms. Now, when Pokemon first came out, I was in 8th grade. And I had the Pokemon Red Game Boy game, and I still have all of my first generation cards, whatever ones I had. And so I know about at least Gen 1, but so I know about gyms and all that stuff. But during that time in 2016, numerous private homes and businesses were unexpectedly designated as gyms, or specific like stops. I don't know. I never played the game. I never even saw the game being played. I just knew what was going on, and then we were reading about it. So I don't know exactly what happened if you go to gyms, if it's like with, the actual video games where you go there and you battle or something like that. But this occurred basically because the game used data location from the developer's previous game. And I know that there are some of you out there who know about this. I have at least one buddy of mine. I hope he calls in on this one too. But this game called Ingress. Now, I never played it, but I know about how this was essentially the foundation for what this was all, which sometimes mapped private residential areas or obscure landmarks or something like that. And it led to a lot of unwanted crowds and players gathering outside of people's private homes. I mean, I had teenagers walking into my backyard looking for Jigglypuffs, and it was just very strange. And after a short while, just infuriating. So, but immediately after this, the initial craze where people were walking around, I remember I remember all of the footage that was coming out of New York City. In New York City, people were every day, more so than usual, running the risk of getting themselves just run over. They're just crossing the streets, looking around, again, just looking at things, looking for animals. And I remember this. It didn't matter what was red, what was green. If you had to get to a location before a rare Pokemon disappeared forever, people were doing anything, and they were risking their lives for these damn cartoons. So that was going on. And I remember shortly after that died down, it could have been Domino's or something like that, but one pizza company or another, maybe it was Uber. I'm sure a few did it. They started experimenting with creating digital hotspots in random places, like in the inside of parks. So you could have a delivery guy go to a local park and walk your pizza to you. You want to meet them at a park bench, they're going to bring the pizza to you, and then you can mug them and steal their wallet. That was going on, where it wasn't just like getting your pizza delivered to your studio or to your house or something like that. All of a sudden, you can create these digital hotspots through the app and stuff. It's like, okay, well, this has to be part of the greater utility we're going to see rolled out with the augmented reality stuff. It was just going in order. And then we started getting news stories about the drones and the robots going to these drop-off points to deliver food, and now there are Amazon drone delivery zones as well. I know that that's not as widely available, but all that is augmented. And when we were saying here before, let me see here. It's over on this end. Where the hell was it again? About the robots, weather conditions, photography, physical world mapping. Shit. It was that one line about robots. Anyway, yeah, I guess the most valuable AI training data set in the world being assembled in data centers. Essentially, what you're doing is you're mapping an entire planet, because you need to be able to give non-humans, robots, the ability to interact and sense the world. So we were talking about the military applications already. Around that time, we were getting the reports of more and more of the Boston Dynamic, the dogs and the robot. Those initial robots that everybody's like, oh wow, those are kind of freaky. And naturally, we concluded, because if you think about it, I mean, the robots aren't ever going to see the world the way that we do. Any robot that's made out there that has cameras, sensory material, technology on it, all that, it'll never be able to see the world the way that we do. Just like why we say ultimately AI, problem solving and processing and all that other stuff. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to get smarter and smarter. It has to be programmed, and it's never going to be fully human. So to call it artificially intelligent is an understatement. And that's the whole thing here. You're going to need to create a parallel world laid on top of our own, so that as robots become more prevalent in society, they have something to latch onto that mimics what we have when we just leave our house and we see things, and we understand what everything is, and we know exactly how to get to our favorite breakfast spot in the morning because we've been there before. We used to go there with our grandparents. We have memories. This is just one of those things where they're going to have to be plugged into a network and work off of some kind of a digital overlay that gives them the direction that we would get just by being human. So naturally, we concluded 10 years ago that this system would ultimately be the reason why robot soldiers would be able to be deployed on missions in even the most remote areas, because no one in the world would have already, everywhere in the world, I should say, would have already been digitally mapped. And you say, well, what about data coverage? Well, now you got Starlink. Now you got coverage all around the world that is just raining down from up above. And since 2016, how much stuff has Elon Musk alone put up in high Earth or low Earth orbit or whatever? Those of you who think that the Earth is flat, you think that they're just floating up there with balloons, whatever. It's raining down raining down the connectivity. The internet is coming down from above. So perhaps that's how all that works. And that could definitely be made possible. Now, I had something else over here. There's other thing here too. This is from 2018. I pulled this one out. No, I'm sorry, 2016. This is from Al Jazeera, and it's in my archives. Pokemon Go ignites debate in the Middle East. Let's go down. Look, he's something else, ain't he? He's a comedian. You can tell he's zany. Comedian Ahmad al-Bashir. He's a hilarious guy. Loved him. He is the Al Jazeera Johnny Carson. Anyway, in Egypt, meanwhile, there is a heated debate that Pokemon Go is a major threat to national security. Ahmed Badawi, deputy head of the communication community, urged Egyptian officials to consider banning the game because it's allegedly exposing the country's vital security sites to the world. Badawi has proposed the installation of mobile phone and Wi-Fi jammers in the vicinity of every state institution to prevent anyone from streaming videos of these sensitive areas while playing the game. Hamdi Bakit, a member of Egypt's Committee on Defense and National Security, told Parliament, quote, Pokemon Go is the latest tool used by spy agencies in the intel war. A cunning, despicable app that tries to infiltrate our communities in the most innocent way under the pretext of entertainment, but all they really want is to spy on people and the state. Last week, Abbas Schumann, deputy chair of Al-Azhar, I actually get through all of the Arabic-sounding names better than the French ones. Al-Azhar University in Egypt wrote that he discourages Muslim youth from playing Pokemon Go because it is an addiction, comparing the game's sensation to alcohol substance abuse. Schumann later posted a message on his official Facebook page saying he never forbade the game, as some media outlets reported, and stressed that he only warned of its addictive nature. Well, that's something else. That goes more down to what we saw what we saw on the social end of things. That's what people were commenting on. People just running in the streets looking for things. They're kind of obsessive with everything. They're showing up on private property. There seems to be no line that they won't cross to play this game and to collect all the Pokemon that has been just littered across their town and stuff. So yeah, okay, but that passes. Everything passes. A game goes out of style. You move on to the next thing and whatever. The real thing is that you've managed to get hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, to run around and just essentially film everything. So they're talking about it right there, that this is the use of spy agencies. Egypt taking it to that level is not something that you should be sneezed at. And that's in 2016. I thought this little piece was interesting. Yes, it is CBS. And yes, it is Iran making a determination about U.S. tech firms and what they are. But I just thought that this in itself is really something. You say, well, can you really blame them on this determination over here? Iran says major U.S. tech firms are targets in the Middle East, with drone and cyber attacks already underway. Iran has listed a number of U.S. major tech companies as potential targets as it expands its attacks across the Middle East in retaliation for the ongoing U.S. and Israeli attacks on its military and security forces and leadership. Amazon, Microsoft, Palantir, and Oracle. Okay? That's listed among other tech companies there, with the caption, Enemy Technological Infrastructure, Iran's new goals in the region. I just thought it was interesting that Iran, I think many of us that are hanging out with each other tonight would agree that there is probably a military application that we can prove above a shadow of a doubt for all of those companies. Okay, we've been talking about them being in one way or another in the in crowd, working against national interests. Everything is spying. So Iran is essentially labeling U.S. tech giants as military combatants, which before the war, I think we would all have just said, yeah, absolutely. Microsoft is the devil. We understand. But yeah, it's Satan. It's the devil. And there you have it. Now, I want to take you to another video. This was a year ago. This is by Proven Conspiracies, and I thought that a couple of minutes right in the center of this, it's Pokemon Go's shocking connection to military surveillance. Okay? This is by the Proven Conspiracies site on YouTube. So just watch a few minutes of this. I thought it was interesting.
Of a scene, or to imagine a piece from a new angle. And this is about to change. Spatial intelligence.
Every time you play Pokemon Go, the app records your precise GPS location, photos taken by your phone's camera inside and outside, the routes you walk, how long it takes, and even your speed. And of course, what you look like, courtesy of your front-facing camera. It doesn't stop there. Niantic collects this data constantly and compiles it into what they call a Visual Positioning System, or VPS. The result? A neural network capable of creating hyper-detailed 3D maps of pedestrian areas right down to the centimeter.
So this will help computers perceive, comprehend, and navigate the physical world in a way that will seem equally advanced. So analogous to the LLMs, stuff like ChatGPT that you're using, geospatial models are built using vast amounts of raw data. Billions of images in the world, all anchored to precise locations on the globe, are distilled into a large model that enables a location-based understanding of space, structures, and physical interaction.
Niantic isn't even hiding it anymore. They even released a blog post boasting about their large geospatial model. They proudly announced that their AI-powered system now operates in over 1 million locations worldwide, powered by millions of user-submitted scans. They've essentially crowdsourced a map of the entire world, built from the perspective of regular people holding their phones.
That's insane. That's insane. Oh.
And the cherry on top? This technology isn't just for games. Niantic envisions their geospatial model being used for robotics, content creation, and wait for it, autonomous systems. That's right. Drones, AR glasses, and even military tech could all leverage this massive CIA-backed data trove.
They are bragging about it. Niantic Labs, the company behind Pokemon Go, has released a new blog post on November 12th, just 1 week ago, bragging about how they are collecting millions and millions and millions of photos from everyone playing it in order to create this 3D AI system that sounds like a dystopian nightmare.
Think about this. Pokemon Go doesn't just map public spaces. It maps your private spaces too. Imagine someone playing the game in your house, scanning rooms, furniture, and even the people inside. All that data is fed into Niantic's servers. The CIA now has access to pedestrian-only areas that satellites and cars can't reach, inside homes, offices, and sensitive locations. And it's not just theory anymore. Vault 7, a massive CIA document leak in 2017, revealed that 1/3 of CIA's surveillance tools were named after Pokemon. Coincidence? Probably not.
Back in 2016, when Pokemon Go was really taking off, back in those early naive days of smartphoniness, I wrote an article talking about the connections between Pokemon Go, the NSA, and the CIA. And I pointed out to everybody that Pokemon Go really existed because of a direct investment by the CIA. Yes, the CIA.
According to Niantic, they process over 1 million scans per week.
So that's, again, more, and for those of you in podcast land, the CIA development conduit there is normally In-Q-Tel. Big part in just the formation of Facebook as we know it today and everything else there too. So that name pops up a lot as you read into these the history of these big companies and how they have become critical infrastructure in many digital realms, especially In-Q-Tel. You'll see it pop up over and over again. That's crazy. First of all, I want to open the lines for anybody, especially if you are of the tech world and you want to talk about, oh, hey, man, if you think that's bad, here's something else you don't know. How about, how they've been mapping one thing or another, or here's something else about this story that I was there for, or whatever. I'm going to open this line up, and because it's 7:32, we'll take it to the top of the hour. Call in on whatever the hell you want, but however you want to contribute to this, go right ahead. And in the meantime, they were talking about how just being able to employ all of these people, users playing the game who are essentially unpaid interns in helping these gigantic companies and intelligence agencies from mapping out the entire world in ways that they could not do, in ways that actually probably saved them hundreds of billions of dollars, to be able to get mapping of places that cars couldn't get to. I'm sure that you guys have noticed Google cars, the Google Maps cars that go through your back, you go through down your street and all that stuff every once in a while. I don't know if you've ever been on Google Earth or anything, but if you go to Google Earth and you zero in on your street, you can go into a history mode. It's actually it depressed me a little bit. It really did. Because when they started doing this stuff with Google Earth, I think the first time they went through my neighborhood was in 2007. I think that's as far back as I went. You're able to go to a history of your neighborhood. So not only can you go and find your house and look around your town and get a street view or an aerial view, whatever the hell it is, you can go back through all of the times that they sent their fleet of cars and trucks out there with the cameras all over the place to make sure that they are properly mapping things and to also get updated images in case there are new houses that are added to your street, or if, who knows what else is going on. A new street has been added. So I was able to go through that maybe about last year or something, and I went back to 2007, and I'm looking at a couple of old cars, looking at a couple of bushes that were removed, bushes that I took out myself, thinking about the people who were alive, thinking about one thing, a house that was not even built next to me yet. It was a couple of months before it was all cleared out and built. And it's crazy. It's crazy how much of your own, aspects of your personal history that you haven't even thought of, conceived of, is out there waiting for you to find, you to rediscover, or somebody else to find. And that's just by sending out cars up and down the street every couple of years, making sure that everything's on the up and up, and all the houses are where they're supposed to be. And somebody dies and they sell their plot, and somebody else splits it up and puts another house in there. Condos are made. They have to keep doing it for those just general maintenance reasons. But this is different. You get an army of people going down driveways and walkways of, corporate parks and all that other stuff. It's nuts. And you want to talk about the imaging stuff. Now, this was on Popular Mechanics back in 2023. I think probably around the time that we started seeing all of the also on Popular Mechanics, all of the theories about whether or not about 6G, about how 6G would be mostly powered by human beings, how we would actually become the routers, the walking routers for this stuff. Well, around that time, here's January of 2023, scientists can now use Wi-Fi to see through people's walls. And some people have said, because this comes out on 1 year, and then you know how the internet is. Every year, once a year for 15 years, people will just clip something and put it out onto Twitter or one thing or another, and it'll go viral again as if it's new. And then you get all the detractors. Oh, this was prospective technology. It never worked out. It can't work, or one thing or another. But anyway, I have to imagine that's bullshit. This seems actually pretty basic compared to some of the technology that we've been introduced to over the last few years alone. Scientists can now use Wi-Fi to see through people's walls. Researchers at Carnegie Mellon University can map human bodies through walls using Wi-Fi signals. The technology tracks key points on the body for detection, extending previous research into using Wi-Fi signals to locate humans. The study's authors position the breakthrough as helpful to privacy. It's helpful to privacy, even if it opens up the possibilities for much easier, cheaper human tracking. I don't understand how that even works. I don't even know how you can put that. You can publish that sentence, but it's a 2-minute read, so let's do it. And you guys can call in 914-200-0269. It isn't immediately clear how using only a Wi-Fi signal to track human movement through walls improves personal privacy, but that's what a new study from Carnegie Mellon University claims. In a recently published paper, the researchers expanded on the study of employing Wi-Fi signals to map human movement, especially in the low-light situations that make using other technologies less than desirable. They write, We developed a deep neural network that maps the phase and the amplitude of Wi-Fi signals to UV coordinates within 24 human regions. The results of the study reveal that our model can estimate the dense pose of multiple subjects with comparable performance to image-based approaches by utilizing Wi-Fi signals as the only output. The pathway opens the options for low-cost, broadly accessible human tracking through walls. High-cost technology has successfully mapped people's movements through the walls for years, and researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have spent over a decade working on ways to more easily see people through walls. So let's take a call. Mike, is that you?
It is. How you doing, Frank?
Hey, it's good to have you on, sir. So what do you got for us tonight?
Oh, I was just listening to you talk about all the Wi-Fi mapping and stuff, and that just, man, it's been freaking me out for a long time. And didn't a blip come up a few years ago about the Roombas mapping all of our houses out too?
Well, I don't remember it in particular, but I'd have to imagine that is just that's simple. That's simple to see that happening. Every couple of years after the Alexa and the Google the Echo came out and all that stuff, we were hearing all the reports that it was listening to everything, as you would have to imagine. I never understood that. Hey, this thing is off until you call its name.
That means it's listening to you all the time.
Yeah, it's got to listen. It's got to listen for its name, does it not? How the hell can it totally be off? And so that's why we got all the articles about people being recorded during sex and everything else.
Yeah. Well, I just imagine it's probably mapping, not only mapping your house, it's seeing everything you have in there, down to what firearms you have, down to who comes over to your house. I mean, it's maybe that's too far, but it's terrifying to me.
Yeah. Well, it all adds up. And of course, with every new development, there's always somebody that says, oh, there's nothing to worry about. You say, okay, I'll take your word for it. Is that all you got, Mike?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, then they call you crazy until they decide to use it for something. What they decide to use it for is what's scary, because you never know.
That's what we're going to see next, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
yep.
You saw how it took 10 years for the real gift that Pokemon Go gave the powers that be is going to come to. How is it going to be utilized? I don't know. You put the system in place, you map the terrain, and then you just plug other things into it, like robotics. That is going to be the eyes, the intuition, and the directional. That's how you're going to give things directional coordinates and everything. Donald, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, it's One Way Mel.
Hey, Mel. Good to have you.
Good to have you. How about those robotic vacuum cleaners?
The Roombas.
They're roaming around your house, bumping into stuff. Is it a safe? Is it a I don't know, a dog? You don't know.
Yeah,
but they have eyes to see, right?
Yeah, the last caller actually just brought up Roomba as well. That's
I'm back in my yoga room, so I'm not listening to you.
No, hey, you're on the right track. It's you think about it. First of all, I would never. I always thought that the Roombas were. I'm sure it's good for some people, especially if you have hardwood floors and a lot of cat hair or some. I don't know, but
right.
I don't see how that would actually be a really good clean. Is anybody with a Roomba out there? Can you call in, please, or send in a super chat? Get in touch with me. Let me know how good of a cleaning it is. I would always just rather vacuum myself or something. Anyway, Mel, go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with the broom.
Okay. No, yeah. See, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Great. Thanks, Frank.
Send my best to Don.
I will for sure.
Okay. Take care. Bye bye. Let's go. Let's go to Mark.
Hey, Frank. It's Mark Danola from Maryland.
Good to have you on, sir.
I have to bring off. Yeah. Hey, I wanted to tell you a Pokemon story.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't do Pokemon myself, but I have these series of ginkgo trees that I like. They usually the leaves all fall at the same time. And you get a little tip, it's going to happen by like 1 or 2 falls. Anyway, so I'm taking a video, put my phone on the ground, pointing up, and I'm shaking, it was probably 4-inch ginkgo tree. I got a slow-mo video of it. It's beautiful. And a guy comes up to me and says, "What are you doing, playing Pokemon Go?" And I said, "No, I'm shaking the ginkgo." Anyway, that's my story.
You know what? It's probably just as productive. I'm happy that that's a good one. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, see you, Frank. Bye.
All right, take care. See you later. You know, Mark is a biological dentist, and you know, he is responsible for a lot of people being able to disconnect themselves from the matrix by getting all those damn fillings out of their mouths. You know, you pick up radio, one thing or another, radio show, Little Orphan Annie, something comes through. Well, Mark has been saving people a lot of trouble in that respect. 410, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Mark is a biological dentist. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Who's this?
Hey, this is Eric from Maryland.
Okay, Eric, can you just turn the show down in the background?
Yep, got it. Trying to work this Roku.
All right, brother, the floor is yours.
Hey, man, really, really cool topics tonight. Something I've been thinking about as you were talking about, like the whole like Wi-Fi, you know, seeing through walls and stuff. And just in general, the topics tonight and past couple weeks, like, I guess a question for you and like the broader audience, revelation of the method, you know, like the devil or Satan or whatever you want to call it, just kind of like showing you, you know, what they're doing. I just think that all this stuff is so out in the open right now, and logical, you know, deduction. I can't think of anything else that is just, you know, it's. I guess that's it. I don't know.
You know,
my mind's going a mile a minute.
No, it's something that it bears consideration, because you think about what came first, the desensitizing of the mass population, or the revelation. I think that for a while there, you just had so many people trust in institutions, but right now, because it's, you know, what we're living through right now is actually just so brazen that it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder what, or actually, it puts a little bit more clarity on why people have just been so distracted and, you know, brought down a couple of pegs intellectually, where the light is kind of dimming behind their eyes, because a lot of this is revelation of the method. It is very vampiric in that way, where, you know, the whole law of karma at that point is like, you know, the vampire he can't just enter the house. He needs to be invited in, which is why, you know, he casts his spell on somebody to have them open up the door and remove all the garlands of garlic and all that stuff. It makes you wonder how some of these things can be so obvious, what the dual use could be and how it can bite you in the ass, and why it probably isn't a good trade-off to be interacting with things that can be so easily and you know, manipulated by others on the back end, and what that can do to perception of reality itself, to the news, you know, the censoring of information, whatever the hell it is. And yeah, it really is, you know, the more we use it, and it kind of is a trap, because it's almost like you pay the toll for being in a modern society. Are you going to be connected? Are you going to get into the chat room on your favorite show? Are you going to use one platform or another? And to what end do you use it? But at the same time, the toll is you're essentially inviting the vampire in, and you know, they're showing you how much you can trust them, and they're still, you know, we're still going to their house on Halloween to trick or treat. And I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, very well put, man. I mean, like, the only other thing I'd add is, you know, sometimes I myself get frustrated in, you know, looking around me of how many people don't see it. You know, I can, you know, listen to the show for as long as I have, and just kind of the community that we have here, like, it just sometimes and you know, out in your everyday life, it's frustrating to see, like what are you guys doing? Like, what do you guys not see, you know, what's going on? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, very, very well put, man. I agree.
I appreciate the call. And that's really just the predicament that we're in right now is, what are you going to do? What do you do when you're in your hometown or a city somewhere and you're out for the night on a Saturday in 2016? It's like July of 2016, and 40, 15-year-olds are pushing past you because they're trying to catch a Pikachu somewhere. What are you going to do? Hey, don't give in to the. Walk right past you, and you just realize, oh gosh. Well, there's that. We're definitely gonna, I'm definitely going to be paying for somebody's collective mistake down the line. It's not like you can totally take yourself out of it. Like I said before, there's a toll to be paid with all of this access and all this connectivity. And I think ultimately we just were not designed for this kind of exposure. We were not designed for this kind of exposure. For what I'm doing, the way that I put myself out there every night existed in some form before the internet, because there was radio, and that need to interact and put out a signal and see who calls in and just have that kind of back and forth, that entertainment value there. But as far as the social aspect of, I went to the store today and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, or getting onto one game or another and thinking you're playing it for the lulls, and you're actually building up a crazy database that will one day be used by robots in a war zone. Like, think about that. Think about that. Some 13-year-old kid from 2016 who is now 23, mind you, is going to be partially, though not significantly, responsible for how robots operate in a battlefield in the future, if not right now. If not right now in Ukraine and everywhere else. Here, I mean, and here's the other thing I was talking about. I'll take your calls again in just a second. Here's more from the study from the MIT. In the Carnegie Mellon study, scientists had Wi-Fi signals send and receive a body's coordinates and then use dense pose to map the body. From the study, advances in computer vision and machine learning techniques have led to significant development in 2D, 3D human pose estimation from RGB cameras, LiDAR, and radars. However, human pose estimation from images is adversely affected by the occlusion and lighting, which are common in many scenarios of interest. By reducing the need for the advanced and expensive technology, the Carnegie Mellon researchers say they can make human tracking more available. Somehow, they've also positioned the breakthrough as a privacy-positive situation. You don't need Wi-Fi signals to see that's a bit sketchy. That's from Popular Mechanics, even making that, drawing that conclusion and thinking that's a little bit ridiculous. Now, the LiDAR thing is interesting. I think they were using LiDAR, that's light detection and ranging. We were talking with Timothy Alberino about LiDAR usage to map out the jungle floors in the Amazon, which has made it a lot easier for people finding, lost relics, or at least lost structures, megalithic structures, anything that has been just consumed by the jungle in the Amazon. So that's been interesting. LiDAR has been used. I mean, I'm pretty sure that everything that we were talking about with the supposed spiraling columns that were underneath the pyramid that everybody was discussing in 2025 or 4 or something kind of went away. I think LiDAR was at the center of that. Obviously, nothing came of that, so I think that was just what it is. But still, that is something where you are raining that down from above. You're raining that down from above. And I think that similar technology is being used to map the floor of the ocean. So who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? They find anything significant, they're definitely not telling us first. That's for sure. 219, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, I love you. I have a new idea here.
Okay.
Remember Dear Abby?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do a Dear Frankie call.
Okay.
Dear Frankie, I got bit in the face by my neighbor's dog.
Oh.
And I didn't know how to talk to them, so I went to a lawyer to get the doctor bills paid. And the lawyer said that they're going to go through the homeowner's insurance. And I don't know if their homeowner's insurance has dog coverage. What do I do? Now they're angry at me. What would you have done?
I mean, I actually think you did the right thing. I think that was a responsible thing. And John, hello.
I love you, sir.
Well,
you're my best friend. You have no idea how much you're my best friend.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you. You're a good man. Thank you so much. John
All right,
Otter.
good night.
Wait. Okay, well, go ahead and relax. Relax while we talk about you, John. John Otter. And, we used to have a Dear Frankly. I'd actually like to do that again. Frank, I've got a situation right now. I've got a relationship problem. I've got this and that. I will be your Tony Robbins. I cannot guarantee that your life will improve in any... I can't guarantee that your life will improve, but I will give it a shot. As far as John Otter, he shared that with everybody in the Discord about a week or two ago. And the dog did latch onto his face and he had stitches and all that stuff on his lip. From what I saw, I mean, it looked gnarly because it was fresh, but I think that he's going to heal pretty well and all that stuff. Thank God. But yeah, what are you going to do? I mean, you going to let that slide? That is medical bills and all that stuff. They're responsible for it. They should be responsible for it. And I think that contacting the lawyer is the best thing. Let them handle it. What would have been the optimal thing is if the owners of the dog said, John, we've got homeowners insurance and all that stuff. Let us take care of it. Oh, please, we got to pay your hospital bills. We're going to have to take. And then, of course, I'm going to take the dog in the backyard. I'm going to shoot him dead myself. So I can't really tell you to do much more than that. If they're pissed off that you want some kind of compensation for all of the time it's going to take to repair your face because of their pooch, I don't know. They can kiss my ass. They can kiss my ass. Get upset. It's better than going over there with a pitchfork. All right, let's take a call. 909. Go right ahead.
Hey, Frank. Well, you guys were talking about dogs biting people's faces. I'm not going to get on that. I was going to go back to the previous idea of the pyramid and stuff like that. I was just curious, the LiDAR aspect of the pyramids. What do you think about that? Like, do you think that's legit or...
for the pyramid in particular, or just the use of the technology in general?
I think they use the technology in general is what I'm actually asking about.
Oh, why? Well, to be totally honest with you, I don't know of anybody that objects to the. I have not heard any objections to the technology being faulty in some way. I heard that perhaps ground penetrating radar was not going to, really give you the real understanding of what was going on underneath the pyramids, and that it was probably a little bit deceptive. But I don't know. Do you know something about LiDAR that is actually not as reliable as it may seem?
No, that's why I was calling in. I wanted to get your opinion on the LiDAR aspect, because I mean, it's really groundbreaking, and that's why I was asking. It was like I said, it was right before the dog face biting concept that you guys were talking about. But I just really wanted to. I was curious about what you thought about it, and I apologize if I'm wasting your time.
You're never. No. First of all, no. I'm glad you called in. Thank you. As long as it is, I have to imagine mapping out surface level stuff. It would actually be really great tool of especially understanding what was going on and what the makeup of certain amounts of if it's dense dense forest or anything else like that it's really hard to get through. But if you can map it out, it says over here, I'm going to get into how LiDAR works. Emission and return. A sensor emits rapid laser pulses, often near infrared light, and measures the time it takes for them to bounce off of objects and return. It sounds like you're essentially mimicking how a bat sees in the middle of the night as it's flying around looking for something to eat. Let's see here. Types of LiDAR. Installed on drones or aircraft to map large areas of the Earth's surface and topography, often using waveform technology to detect ground beneath the trees. And there's terrestrial LiDAR, ground-based, such as stationary tripods for detailed building scans or mobile car-mounted systems for road infrastructure. And then solid-state LiDAR is newer, smaller, cost-effective technology without moving parts, often used in consumer electronics. But they say you can apply it for obstacle detection and navigating safe routes, especially through dense, maybe undeveloped areas, creating high-resolution digital elevation models, forestry and agriculture, measuring tree height, biomass, and forest canopy density, infrastructure and urban planning, mapping roads, building, and transportation networks. I don't see anything about how it's not reliable, or at least on a surface level thing. I don't know how reliable anything that is going to go subterranean will be, and to what depth. But seemed to me like it'd be a really great breakthrough, especially if you're doing things in places like the Amazon, like Timothy Alberino was talking about whenever we talked to him about. It might have been a year and a half ago at this point.
And yeah, that's a great. I hope that you have him on soon again. You basically hit all the aspects of what I was getting at. Like if the information is sound, then why wouldn't we take it seriously? So thank you very much, Frank, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. And I think that I think for the most part it is being taken seriously. What did Elon Musk say about LiDAR? These are just like side links that are popping up on Google. Elon Musk is a staunch opponent of using LiDAR for autonomous vehicles, famously calling it a crutch and a fool's errand. He argues that LiDAR is excessively expensive, unnecessary, and actually increases danger by creating sensor conflicts with cameras. Musk champions a vision-only approach, Tesla vision, believing AI cameras are superior for real-world driving. Oh, well, that's for driving. Well, I don't think anybody should be letting a robot drive them anywhere, number one. But that's a different category. I don't give a shit about unmanned cars driving around. I'm thinking about, flying a helicopter or something over a forest or something, looking for a child, or who the hell knows. Anyway, 914-200-0269. Let's take a call. Oh, this one is from Chad. Chad, what do you have to say about all this?
It's all fake and gay.
Fake and gay. Put it in the books.
No, yeah, it's strangely enough, I do have experience with LiDAR and whatever. If there's something to have experience about, I probably do, because I've lived 1,000 lifetimes, I swear. But I actually wanted to call in on this whole Pokemon Go, like Niantic thing. Like before Pokemon Go, there was Ingress, and Ingress was like a great game. It was super nerdy. Like, I don't know, a lot of tech forward people were using it because it was really cool. It was like geofencing, when you could do a lot of cool raids and things with your buddies and go explode portals and set up. It's like capture the flag for nerds.
Okay.
And I think it was a really cool concept. But then Pokemon Go came and like it actually competed. So like the Pokemon Go portals would be in the same places as the Ingress. And so there was like a lot of overlap that kind of ruined the experience, because you had a bunch of nerd dork kids who were playing Pokemon Go, and you had a bunch of nerd dork adults playing Ingress. So it was kind of a clash there. But like, I don't know, you always have to do some kind of like early life check on founders, because they all came from Berkeley or, some California university that has like deep ties, and they're all coming from somewhere. And yeah, so
Why
sure enough,
wait, Chad, why the name Ingress? If it's just capture the flag, why wasn't it called something like capture the flag?
I couldn't tell you. What's the opposite of ingress is egress, right?
Okay.
I don't know. It's all things, but none of them are by accident. You connect with people through these games. Another example is like the Pi network cryptocurrency. You could mine it on your phone, which means it was doing no mining at all. It was just like creating networks of people, and you just mapped networks of people, and that data is incredibly valuable. So I don't know if I were somebody who wanted to sell a mass amount of data on people who weren't the wiser, I'd go create something like that, something that feels very social and networky and multi-level marketing and ladders, and build your team under you, and then get other people to do it, and then package all that data up and sell it to the highest bidder, commercial or government, doesn't matter. It's an ingenious play. Wish I would have done it myself, but they're all it's all just data grab.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say you just grab your ankles and take it, or you can, put a tinfoil hat on and live the life of Uncle Ted. So
I know. Listen. The next thing I'm going to do is find myself a nice little shanty in the woods in Montana, and that's where I'm just going to be hanging out for the rest of my life. I have a.
They'll find you, Frank, because you'll have your auto subscription of lead paint for your wall.
I know. Like I said, it's all the hooks are in. All the hooks are in. I forget.
That's the dead giveaway.
Yeah, I forget all the hooks that are actually in at this point. Just there's so many ways. So real quick, because before we leave, you said you have some experience with LiDAR. From the standpoint, we know how Elon Musk feels about it from the standpoint of using LiDAR to drive a car. I don't care about that. But from aerial reconnaissance or something like that, what are your thoughts about it? And are there any pitfalls that people don't hear about?
It's all pretty practical. It actually more has to do with data transmission and storage than anything else. LiDAR produces an incredible amount of data that has to be transmitted and parsed and stored fairly rapidly for it to have. If self-driving cars, the challenge with LiDAR is there's a lot of processing that has to happen almost instantaneously, faster than the human mind, and so don't really have the same ability to operationalize or commercialize that unless you have massive amounts of compute or data transmission like on the device. So it's for no other reason than practicality. Now with I can't remember the law where the law where technology only develops faster and faster over time. Like, sure, as soon as you have a supercomputer on the surface of your fingernail, sure, then LiDAR on everything could be great. But as of right now, it's far more practical than it is woo-woo.
All right. Well, that's good. I didn't think it was woo-woo. I just wanted to, because it sounds like it would be the silver bullet of really conquering things like a very dense patch of rainforest, or understanding, where something that might have been hidden for centuries could be, because you no longer have to, cut through malaria infested terrain with a machete and a Sherpa. I think that would be really, really awesome. And if it is that practical and useful, that's wonderful. I hope we use it more and more. All right. Well, thank you for the call, Chad.
Yeah. Have a good night, Frank.
All right. Have a good one. Guys, we will be back in just a second. Here's a break for you.
What if I want to have sex before I get married?
Well, I guess you just have to be prepared to die.
Call me. I want to know what color your butthole is.
mean, that if people choose not to work, if they choose not to contribute to society, why should they have a voice? And why should they have a say in what goes on? If you're not contributing, then you must be taking away.
That's a very right-wing point of view.
Well, you can call it what you want, but, you know, I come from a background where I feel that the average person, normal people, work for a living. They don't, you know, live off the government's back. They don't live off anybody's back. They have pride. They stand on their own 2 feet. If a person chooses not to work, that's fine. But don't go in and, you know, collect benefits because you're too lazy to get up out of bed. I have to wake up for work at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, get my ass out of bed into the freezing cold because I have pride. And yet I pay taxes so some slob can sit in bed watching cartoons while I'm out cleaning a pot for them. That's my point.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
All right, it's 8:10. I have so much good stuff to do with you still. So much good stuff to do with you still. But before we get there, I want to show you some good stuff right here. You see that? This is what Molly is giving away in March. Now I have a steaming hot cup of coffee and Keto Brainz in my thermos over here, and that's part of the reason why I am just in the zone right now. But if you go to ketobrainz.com and you use promo code MARCH or any standing Quite Frankly code, you get yourself into the running to, at the end of the month, winning this. It's over $600. Once again, that's like the average. Sometimes it gets closer to $1,000. Keto Brainz Nootropics, you get more. You get the creatine, the t-shirt, you get Verso products, spermidine, and the NMN. The BPC 157 peptides, the pharmacological bone broth blend that I actually just tried over the weekend. It is something else. It is something else, man. Beef liver capsules, Montana goodie pack, which is, I don't know, what is that? A Montana bourbon bar? A huckleberry bar? So you're just getting a taste of Montana right there. Promo code MARCH on ketobrainz.com. And if you want to try this, I will send you samples of the Keto Brainz, the creamer, and also the electrolytes. You got to put that into some water on a day that you're feeling blah, and I'm telling you, it doesn't break your fast, nothing, but it perks you right up. Tension headaches go away. All of a sudden, you just flush with minerals, and it's just one little pack into your water bottle. All right, so what do we have coming up? Let's get to the super chats, shall we? And remember, everybody, I'm giving away a whole bunch of silver here. Grand prize is an ounce and a half. Runner-up is 4 silver quarters. I'm giving away t-shirts and giving away field medicine booklets. Winard Air Shows says Roomba is the best bachelor invention ever. Yeah, but I want to know how well it works. Der Rufen says, want in on that raffle. I need that shirt. Well, now you're in on it. That's all that matters. Jay Britt says, map me, daddy. You're in. And then John's Unshaven Lint Trap has subscribed to the YouTube. Well, there you go. Thank you so much for that, John. All right, over on Rumble, let's see what's going on over there. We have a couple of people supporting the show there. Dark Heart Hemi says they can see you through your TV screen. The cathode ray. Grandma Grateful says, I think that the reason they got all the lead paint removed from the buildings was so that they could see through the walls in our homes. That's my theory. I've heard that theory before, and that's why I suggested in recent episodes, should we bring the lead paint back? Was it really a problem? Now, people said that the issue was that as lead paint peeled off the walls, or if there's dust, if there's any kind of dustification of it, that the breathing in of any kind of lead paint dust it kind of had a you know, an asbestos kind of level of toxicity or something. But all I've ever heard when I grew up is don't eat paint chips. People are eating paint chips, and it was all about lead-based paint, eating paint chips. And as a child, I really didn't understand that. I never had the urge to eat a paint chip. It didn't look good. So every time I saw a wall that had peeling paint that was peeling off the walls, especially if it was in a garage, like my grandfather's garage, it was all painted brick and stuff like that. So every couple of years, the paint would just curl off in these long, beautiful chips. And I'd say to myself, why does everybody want to eat these? Why? What is so delectable about these fucking paint chips? Why is this a thing? But I don't know. Maybe it really was about just making sure that people could not be, people would not have privacy when you start getting snooped on from above or through walls or something like that. That layer of lead. Perhaps you can get in touch with me and say, no, Frank, no. This is actually a lot more practical than that. Here's all the reasons why it's toxic, and it's a good thing that we got away from it. Benjamin Moore loves this. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. That was all from Rumble. And over on Pilled, before we get to some other things that just came in, I have some other comments. Vesper says, count me in. Pilled is always big on the on getting in on these raffles. That's why they have a couple of consecutive winners these days. Thank you so much, guys. Corey J, 1.5 ounces. Indeed. It's a heavy. Got them heavies. AC says, I will happily put that reptile in my stack. Well, AC, that was very, very raunchy of you to say. But I hope, I mean, you got as good of a chance of winning this reptile as anybody else does. Look at the thickness. Look at the girth. JR at the Lake says silver and gold. Tommy Jekyll says probably my connection to the cyberspace, but Pilled is buffering oddly. It could be. I was getting a lot of buffering lately out of Rumble. I feel like everything takes its turn of being just, and of course, X, forget about it. There are some weeks that this show doesn't even show up on Twitter, and then all of a sudden it's just magically back. So everything's strange. Time for a packet of salty, says Tommy Jekyll. Enjoy it. I love it. I'm sending out a lot of packets these days. Not Your Mom says happy Monday. Yes, a happy Monday to you all. Here is a comment that came in from Up Level Your Style. And I'm just taking comments from the YouTube, and the Rumble, wherever I find interesting comments now. I'm just going to clip them, send them to myself, and I'm going to highlight them. Why the hell not? Up Level Your Style says, I live in Ohio. For many years since I can remember, there was a Bigfoot cutout, like a black silhouette, right next to the sign for the public school bus transportation place where the school buses park just down the street. Within the last year or so, it was removed. Oh, no. Are you sure it wasn't? It might have been seized by some of the locals there that are eating all the pets. They probably thought, oh, let's eat that thing. It's so big. It took them a long time to realize it was just a cutout. Here's one from SLZ Garage, also on YouTube. It says, hey, Frank, I worked at the U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles as a maintenance engineer from 2016 to 2024. Oh, by the way, we were talking about Larry Silverstein buying that building. It was not, in fact, the building in Independence Day. It was brought to my attention that was the Capitol Records building, which, okay. They both are very spherical, cylindrical in their construction, I should say. So Garage, he was their maintenance engineer from 2016 to 24. I can tell you that there was no funny business during the Silverstein renovation. Most of the renovations were done in the street level lobby and in the 69th and 70th floor. Remember those names. Remember those floors. 69th and 70th. There's a tourist attraction called Sky Space, and those floors that feature a glass slide that went out on the outside of the building. This attraction never took off and was just a major flop. It was in the contract of the bank that loaned Silverstein the money to purchase the property that they must renovate those floors. It was in the contract of the bank? The bank that loaned Silverstein the money to purchase the property that they must renovate the 69th and 70th floors. Maybe it's just a really low-key reason. I don't know. I don't understand. But thank you for the insight. I love stuff like that. I try to read as many of the comments as possible, and I will start clipping them now too. Please, ladies and gentlemen, like and comment and share the show. If you're watching this after the fact, especially on YouTube, hit hype. Just keep hyping it up, and leave timestamps for things that you think, moments that you think that are fantastic, things that should be clipped. If you are technically gifted out there, by all means, make the clips of the show you think are really going to do well, and I will share them. I'll share them. I might even upload a few and mirror them on the new clips channel. Oh, by the way, which, please, ladies and gentlemen, just got to put it out there because, you know, these things are going to, if everything goes well, it'll grow on its own. But it's good just to let you guys know we have a Quite Frankly Clips channel that we really want to start growing there. And we already got 20 videos up, and we wanted to separate the really short form content away from the longer form content channel, which is all about the mid-sized segments of the shows that are about 10 to 15 minutes long. We uploaded something on Sunday, and of course the nightly live shows. But if you're into the clips and you want to help the show grow, because this has a very distinct audience, it is night and day, the demographics of people who are watching shorts and who are watching long form. And I'm sure there's going to be some overlap there with, if any of these pop off, it'll bring us a new generation of viewers. But get to the Quite Frankly Clips channel and help us get those clips out. All right, here we go. I got a voicemail. I think it's from Todd. Remember, you guys, Todd takes advantage of the voicemail box. 98% of the voicemails I get are from Todd from Oregon. But you can do that too. That is speakpipe.com/quite frankly. The link is in the description of each episode. Leave us a voicemail. Let's see what Todd has to say.
Frank, this is Problematic Todd. I have a question you might want to riff on. This may be the most problematic question I've ever asked you, so I apologize up front.
Okay.
Do you think Art Bell was controlled opposition? I was listening to one of his old episodes this weekend, and that question was just burning through my mind, and I've often wondered that. I've wondered it about George Norrie as well. And I know you also like to listen to some of these old episodes. You've talked about it, and you've talked about how it's interesting from a time capsule standpoint, how Art seems to not want to push back on certain government narratives, such as 9/11, yet on other government narratives and issues of secrecy like UFOs and other topics, he pushed back for a living. And it just made me wonder, was he a classic controlled opposition? He does have a military background. Both his parents were in the military. Art was in the military. He got his start in radio while in Vietnam, doing a pirate radio station that went out to the troops. Makes me think of Good Morning Vietnam. Makes me think that these pirate stations were likely military intelligence sending out a certain amount of propaganda to their own troops. I don't know. That's just how my mind works. But I wanted to get your take, Frank. Do you think Art Bell was controlled opposition?
Thank you, Todd. I don't know. He retired too many times for him to be. Why? It doesn't seem to have been kept very stable in place. I don't know. The retirements alone just make me feel like, I don't know. He just had some really hot takes sometimes. You never know. Maybe he was limited hangout. You have to imagine that a guy who had tens of millions of people listening to him every night. You think about that in the height of it all. in the 1990s to be able to get behind a microphone. Most of the time, you know, that flagship station, you go to a station at night, or if you do it, you have it set up, you're able to do it from your own home. Like, I even think about it right now to a much smaller degree, how I can just go live from my office at home, and I know I can get a message out to a fair amount of people. Always want to get more. I always want to get it out there more because it just adds more to the magic of the medium. But to think about getting behind a microphone, and especially at that time, with it being hopped and syndicated by AM and FM radios all over the place, where, you know, it covered so many time zones, and it's you know, it's being heard live in remote islands in the Pacific, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. That's a lot of power right there. If you think that people aren't listening every night, if you think that people in DC that they're, you know, so you say, well, how intimate was the contact? I don't know. I honestly just think that he has a lot of boomer takes on things. Distrust in certain institutions, but found it very hard to take a leap with things like 9/11. And he even said it himself. I can't, a couple of times in some of those old episodes, saying, because he was, you know, he would let anybody come on and talk, say their piece. People came on and made very, very, at that point, unpopular points about why the war in Iraq was a bad idea, and that it wasn't warranted, and we were being lied to, and that civilians were going to die in Iraq, and blah, blah, blah. This whole war on terror narrative is not going to work out, and it's we're getting taken for a ride. It's something else. That was very unpopular, but he let people say it, and I don't know. I just remember that that take just from everybody. I just feel like there was a lot of bad boomer takes. You know? That's what I just feel like. He was over the top in like the climate change stuff. Oh man, hook, line, and sinker. And it sounded like he was genuinely concerned. I don't know if he was just playing a role or something like that, but genuinely concerned. And it might just be all the scientists that he was dealing with, the types of scientists he was dealing with. And what else was there? I mean, it took him a while to come around to TWA 800. Finally, accepted that was government that did it, and they lied about it so badly for so many years. But, I know William Cooper was suspicious of him. People like William Cooper were suspicious. But then again, William Cooper didn't seem to like very many people at all. So there was that. There was that very, very gung-ho about the war on terror and getting the terrorists who took down the towers, and admitted in many episodes that I've heard that just the idea to accept that some people's gravest determinations on how bad things were and who was behind it all, like if there was some kind of involvement and a doorway being opened up and the government actually got involved and allowed that stuff to happen in any way, shape, or form, that there was coordination between our government and other whether they be a combination of terrorists forces and who knows however many other assets, Mossad and whatever the hell else. He didn't want to accept it because he said the implications of that is just horrendous. And I think that's a lot of people. I can't go there. I can't go there because then what's the point? Then that means that we're already in a prison. We're living in a prison state, and what's the whole point? So I mean, put it out there. It could just be as simple as that. Really could. But I've had people get in touch with me and say, "Hey Frank, what do you think about Art Bell, this and that?" One person got in touch with me and said, "Hey, I heard a rumor that he was actually responsible for his late wife Ramona's death. that there was like foul play there. I said, listen, I don't know. I'm kind of backtracking on all the history and kind of filling in the gaps because I wasn't listening while it was all on. Starting to listen to Coast to Coast, old Coast to Coast was really something that I did. I started doing, I listened to my first episode ever when I was just staying up late in 2020 and feeding Aurora by the light of the Christmas tree in the living room in December of 2020. You know, she's still waking up at 11:30, crying, wanted a bottle, wanted one thing or another, and just taking some time with her by the Christmas tree and all that. And I would just put on some Coast to Coast. You know what? Let's see what this Art Bell stuff is all about. I've heard all the famous clips, and I've heard this and that, and I just need to hear something I haven't heard before, and it might be a long night. And that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I still like listening to it all. There's a couple of TalkStream radio stations that are dedicated to it. And I do a lot of eye rolling, but it doesn't matter. You know, like I said, I don't run away from it. I kind of like it. It's challenging. I'm debating with a guy who's no longer around, but his voice carries on. That's interesting stuff to me. And yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Christopher says, boy, Frank, how much did you like that Team USA win against the Dominicans last night? Oh, I think the Guineas are playing the Venezuelans right now, and I hope the Italians, which they're all just Americans, I could play on the Italian team. Well, I mean, the skill set is not there, but still, but yeah. I have liked it just fine if it was just fixing to be a good Sunday night matchup of two great teams, but there was this anti-American venom that was injected into everything over the last week, and it became like a must-win for me at least. I can't imagine that any of the players on Team USA didn't see this shit or hear it trickling in. Yeah, the whole lot of shit talk there, especially from the Dominican Republican fans out there. Whole lot of shit talk to have your 10 runs a game team limited to 1 run over 9 innings, and all they'll talk about now is how the last strike of the game was low instead of just taking the L. The score was 2-1. You left 8 runners on base. Okay? He's calling low strikes, the umpire. With 2 strikes, if anything is close, you got to offer at it. Spoil it until you get something you like. Sorry, take the fucking L. It's just the way it is. It's been an entire... I'll tell you, I don't bring it up too much with you guys because I know some of you are whatever, but I pick and choose my times, and maybe I just got to start my own sports show on the side just so I can talk about other parts of the culture that are so important. But it's been an entire week, because it's all overlapping, an entire week and a half of literally nothing but people ripping the United States for not doing the merengue every time they get on base, not twerking and clapping their ass cheeks as they hit a double, okay? The race tards, the ethno-tards on social media all this week, holy shit. The U.S. has no culture. White baseball is so boring. Are they even having fun out there? But hey, that's all over with now. And after all, being eliminated from the World Baseball Classic isn't the worst thing that could happen to a Dominican baseball player. Having to go back to the Dominican Republic would be the worst thing to happen to a Dominican ball player, where in the off-season they'd be working as longshoremen and selling fried conch to make ends meet. Instead, they go back to their training camps in the United States, whether it be in Arizona or some other place in Florida, where they made their fame and their fortune because it's an American game. But I was here, so I got shit like this. Now I had Twitter up, shit like this all week. Some person, everyone in the world loves baseball except white American baseball players. First of all, not true. Just because Hispanics act all extra about things like this doesn't mean everyone around them is doing life wrong. You know, they're not stoic, emotionless zombies. You know, where if you hit a double and you don't do some kind of a dance on second base, you're some kind of freak or something like that. But secondly, this is an American game. It's an American game. It's played at the absolute highest level possible here in America. And this invitational, the World Baseball Classic, was always going to mean more to other countries. Was always going to be. It was going to be a way for them to be noticed every once in a while. And I'm down for that. The United States has been trying to share this game with the world since the early 20th century, sending Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig on tours to Tokyo and Egypt, playing baseball out in front of the Great Pyramid of Giza. You know, so it's just like this tweet over here. Everyone in the world loves baseball except white American baseball. But this tweet is like saying everyone in the world loves frozen Elio's pizza. Everybody loves frozen Elio's pizza, microwave pizza, except the boring Italians over there. They invented pizza, you motherfucker. It's not not that impressive. It's fun, but it's not going to be to that level. I just don't get it. So I hope Italy beats Venezuela tonight. I really do. Because of course everybody has switched who was rooting, because it's been all ethnocentric. It's been all racism, all very thinly veiled racism, which I don't get, which I just don't understand. I guess I do understand. The United States has been effectively turned into a multicultural economic zone for people that is mercilessly mocked by the very people who depend on the United States' success the most. You know, you think about all the people who are dependent on the United States being successful because they're just dependent on the government. And it's just mercilessly mocked. Mercilessly. So, I mean, it's just incredible. If you don't do anything, they call you culturalist. They laugh at you for being beaten down. Why? You know, well, the Americans are pathetic. Then if they get too rowdy, white colonial bastards. Greased eels. 70% of that baseball stadium in Miami last night was rooting for the Dominican Republic. I'm like, where the hell's what's going on here, man? And it's whatever. If you're Dominican, that's fine. And you want to root that's fine. But I guess the squeaky wheels are getting the grease again on social media, because they have been leading with nothing but veiled racism and hatred of the country and America, wanting them to lose. Like, what the hell's the deal? What the hell's the deal? It's like you've become rich. This is supposedly your home. I don't get that. I really don't. And I had to keep reminding myself, this is not all Dominicans in the United States, Frank. There's plenty of many Dominicans who are rooting for probably both. You know, one is their roots, and then one is where they live now. And when one was eliminated, they're probably rooting right now. But there's just so many people who have taken this venomous programming and just internalized it, and it's really sad. And I'm okay with Italy winning, or even Japan winning. You know, the Japanese are a class act. The Italians were a major part of the last great wave of immigrants that we ever had. That was the last. We've had many waves of immigrants, but that was the last great wave of immigrants we ever had. When we had 20th century surge of Europeans who desperately wanted to be American in every way, waving flags, forbade their children to speak anything other than English. And of course, welfare wasn't even an option, aside from the fact that they had work ethic and they didn't want any of it. So that would be a nice one. That would be a nice one if it turned out to be USA versus Italy. And then let the best guinea win. Who the hell knows? All right. Well, let's see here. I have something I would love to do with you. There is I was reading, I didn't watch the Oscars. The Oscars were on during the baseball game last night. And, but I did see something that caught my eye. It was a headline about the gift bags. And I'm always interested to see what was put into these gift bags. It's just obscene to me. And I found this was on, I think, either Citizen Free Press or some other the amalgamation website, an aggregating website of news and all that stuff. $350,000 gift bags. You want to know what's inside of it? You got to see what's inside of it here. This year's 6-figure goodie bag includes 5 vacations and customizable prenuptial agreement. A customizable prenuptial agreement came inside. Here, how much there were? What was inside? Ranging, let's see here. You get a customizable prenuptial agreement from a renowned divorce attorney and several beauty packages. A renowned divorce attorney. How degrading and bullshit this is. Here we go. This is the everybody wins goodie bag. And remember that the people who get these bags are also the ones who complain about not getting a trophy afterwards because of racism. And this is what everybody who just attends or gets nominated or something gets. A luxury Costa Rican villa experience. And then when you need a vacation from your luxury villa experience in Costa Rica, then you can have an iconic super villa experience in Ibiza for up to 16 of your friends, your family, or members of your blood drinking coven. Look at that. You just get finished with Costa Rica and then you go to Ibiza. All right, let's see here. Sculpt. See what we see. A sculpt and a lift facial. That's why they all look like felines. A smile makeover package, even though none of them smile. They very rarely smile. They stare into the camera with eyes half closed as if they're on fentanyl or something like that. That's what they all do. Or if you're Mark Ruffalo, you walk around glassy eyed because you're a retard. Let's see here. A ultra secure, an ultra secure cryptocurrency storage unit. That's for accepting kickbacks for supporting the war in Ukraine. An elite body sculpting liposuction experience. I wonder who's sucking what. I wonder how many people show up to suck what off of who. The Kabuki-inspired Japanese-made luggage sets. A 7-day transformative and rejuvenating retreat. The most rejuvenated people on the planet over here. They are just so stressed out. They need vacation after vacation and rejuvenations and facials. A tea tasting assortment tea chest. Okay. A movie night maple gourmet gift box. You could probably get that at a Vermont country store right there. That's probably the most accessible thing that you and I are able to have. A maple gourmet gift box. Maple candies. A shower head. With, of course, I'm sure it is a pulsating one. Pulsating shower head. Fountain pens. Fountain pens, those are good for stabbing disobedient butlers in the neck. They can stab their butlers in the neck with the fountain pen. What else do we have? A 10-day restorative reset in Sri Lanka. More restoration for the vampires. This time it's in a malaria mud bath in Sri Lanka. Facial rejuvenation procedures from a leading plastic surgeon. From a leading plastic surgeon. Yeah. So it's probably going to be the foreskin of the plastic surgeon himself. I have some foreskin I can beat into your face, like Sandra Bullock. Oh, you mean from the circumcisions? Yes, we can do the baby foreskins, but it has been proving a lot more effective if I can beat my own foreskin into your cheeks. And they're like, oh, I don't know about this. And then they say, fine, go for it. I need something. Let me see. An electric flosser, because there's no time to floss manually. No time to floss manually when you're saving the world. A luxury vegan handbag, whatever the hell that means. Handbag made of lettuce. Sunscreen. Sunscreen is very vital for these people so they can walk out in public during the daytime. An exclusive luxury Arctic villa getaway with views of the northern lights. That's what we need. More of them in the Arctic. Perfume. Hydro jug water bottle. A holistic portrait photography session. What the hell is a holistic portrait? What the hell is a holistic portrait? Let's see here. A holistic portrait is an artwork or photograph that captures the whole person. What, like spread eagle? Oh. Not just their physical likeness, but also their personality, their environment, the context, and the inner world of the person. Unlike traditional portraits focused solely on facial features, a holistic portrait integrates background, setting, and symbolic elements to reveal the subject's identity, interests, and story. Yeah, this makes sense. The people who work tirelessly to guard their true identities from the world constantly. So I guess it's going to be, I'd have to imagine it's going to be like the portrait of Bill Clinton in the blue dress at Epstein's house. Well, that would be a holistic portrait. That would be a holistic portrait. George W. Bush playing with paper airplanes and the Jenga, the two towers of Jenga blocks. I guess that would be a holistic portrait. My gosh. I'm getting a holistic portrait done. I need people to know my true identity. Why don't you just show us your true identity? Stop acting. No. That's just what it comes down to. These pricks. Additionally, nominees will receive loads more of skincare, fashion, beauty, wellness, and food products in their gift bags. And wait, what about the other one? Are we acknowledging these amazing nominees while elevating, showcasing small businesses, minority-owned brands, female entrepreneurs, and companies that give back at a time when everyone can use a little bit more fun? And again, of course, you just give them a discount at a divorce lawyer. And there you go. Everything's all done. Done up nice. Done up nice. All right, back to the super chats, because actually I'm going to leave the lines open because it's 8:46. We're going to be taking off in about 10 minutes to get into the flip side. Just getting this up over here first too. But I'm going to read your super chats in the meantime. So call in, say whatever the hell you want, make a joke, and let's close out the night nicely. Let's see. Carmenina says, happy St. Patty's Day Eve. Looking forward to corned beef and Guinness tomorrow. Yes, a black and tan. I wish I could do that. I wish we could have Irish car bombs with each other tomorrow night. I'll do one and I'd be done. It's been a long time since I had an Irish car bomb. I used to love them, though. I used to love them. There's a little bit of Bailey's and a little bit of Jameson in the shot, and you drop it into the Guinness. Is that what it was? Or is there a fourth ingredient? I forget. I used to love Irish car bombs. Jaeger bombs. Jaeger bombs. Count me in the raffle, says Jeannie over there on Twitch. Thank you so much. Winard Air Shows says, why can't they use LiDAR to find Bigfoot? It's a good question. It's a good question. Road Trip says, I'm in. I love that bundle. Stowe Stoop says, great Monday, Frank. Thank you, my good man. JDB GQ1 says, I love Silver and I love Frank. I love you, dude. Do too, JD. I love you, dude. Thanks for being here, bro. License and registration, bro. License and registration, bro. All right, let's see what else we have. Pokemon is gay. Paint chips taste great, says Tracer. Safety Net says they found out that lead paint blocks out their nasty 5G killer dirty electricity. So I heard. Well, that is one of the theories out there. I don't know how much it's been verified. We have to do a test. Safety, let me see. Safety Net also said a penny or two for the draw. Love to you. Love you lots. Thank you. Thank you so much. It is literally a penny, those gold pills. So yeah. Okay, that's it. So then tomorrow we will be live. I have a special guest in the studio. I'll introduce you to them when we are here at 7 o'clock. And who knows where we go with that one. But I will say this. Ladies and gentlemen, not only is it 20 years on air, but I have some big things that are brewing right now. And I can't wait to reveal to you and all that other stuff. And listen, we're making our way through a very important year. And I would love for you to be a sponsor of the show. It would mean a lot. And it mean a lot to be able to have that leeway to grow. And it's always little by little because, we're not a huge show, but we've got a wonderful audience. And so we make strides incrementally. So if it sounds like Frank always needs to grow, it's true because we go a centimeter at a time. And with every centimeter of leeway, I find ways to optimize what we can do with just that little bit of air pocket in the budget and to keep going. So I got big plans, big hopes. And just remember, I have all the 20-year anniversary T-shirts I'd like to send out to you guys as you become sponsors. If it's for $10 or more, then you're going to get a T-shirt on top of all the other things that we send home to people. And then you get access to the book clubs. We're doing book club again in June, but until then, we're watching at least 2 movies a month. The next movie night watch party together is going to be at 9 o'clock on Friday the 27th. We'll watch the second Sherlock Holmes film, which is so awesome. It gets even more dark and spooky in this one. It's great. So we got that. I have other things. I actually just added A Scent of a Woman to the list.
Fuck you too!
I just added that to the list for some time over this year or the next. And I also think that next year for book club, I think we're just going to go into Lord of the Rings. I think so. If we're going to do at least 3 book picks for 2027, because we have 3 this year, I wanted to leave a little bit more room to see if I can get any traveling done just for the 250th or something. But I would love to do the Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy next year. It may not be for everyone. I think it would be a wonderful, wonderful ride. I mean, a lot of us, we really enjoyed Ready Player One. I think that would be awesome to read the 3 and maybe The Hobbit as well. Who knows? Anyway, I got big plans, but be part of the culture club, be part of the Sunday streams and everything else. Become a sponsor. I have Pen Pal slots that are open. I've got Polaroid and Postcard Club slots that are open on Patreon and Subscribestar. You can find all of that stuff, all the information on quitefrankly.tv/sponsor or in the description below this episode. It would be a true honor. True honor to take you with me into the future where we are going to try to outlast all of the nonsense, all of the podcast war, food fights, and the political. Let's outlast all of that stuff together, ladies and gentlemen. But I need your help. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be dropping the link to the flip side in the chat room right now.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now the super chatters, to which my heart belongs. Dragon Sage says, lurking, I hate this show. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you, LD, or JD, bro. Thank you, Stowstube. Thank you, Road Trip. Winard Air Shows, Jeannie Yankee, Carmenina, Winard Air Show again, Der Rufin, Jay Brits, and all of our friends on Rumble, and we're going to get around to more of the Pilled in just a second. Drop in the link now, guys. I'll see you on the flip side. We ain't done until the lights go off.
Goodbye.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody.